The second winning series is a unique sports program that probes into the often controversial world of professional and amateur sports. Sports View Today.
Everybody, and welcome to another edition of Sports View. I'm Ron Cameron.
And I'm Bob Page. Our sponsors in the program, as always, Al Dietrich Oldsmobile, where it's end-of-the-year sale time at Al Dietrich Olds in the Pontiac Waterford area, where Telegraph ends, the deals begin. We also have the Tangerine Room, one of Detroit's hottest new night spots, just east of the Renaissance Center in the Rivertown District. And Pete Eleftheriou's other place, the Plymouth Rock. So see, I ad-lib my copy, unlike you.
You don't.
Our viewers know that we have idiots.
You couldn't ad-lib, but you know what? That comes out of the derriere.
We have. That was Johnny Carson's line.
Well, I can say that.
What do you think of Chevy Chase? He said you couldn't ad-lib a fart at a bean-eating contest, right? You stole that line. But I think our regular viewers know that we have idiot cards prepared for you. It says, I'm Ron Cameron.
What do you call this over here?
You should see, I just ad-lib this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We
can
also,
tell, too.
I'm about to give you a plug. One of the sponsors, though not, of course, a paying sponsor, ladies and gentlemen, is Sports Fans Journal, the fifth issue of which is out on the streets right now, right?
The fifth issue... No, it'll be on the streets by next week at this time.
Which is when some people are actually seeing the show. Next week is about when we're taping it.
Big issue as far as we got a story that's going to knock you dead in that next issue. And if you want to subscribe to Sports Fans Journal, read Denny McClain from jail and a whole bunch of others, stay tuned later on. We'll talk all about that.
We also have T-Com Pagers and Mazzolas with pizza and subs, 2 locations downriver and the newest one in Garden City. And our guest in the program today, Mark Nichols, no, not the injured Lions wide receiver.
The stiff #1 draft choice.
Now, Mark is a very nice young man, that Mark Nichols, and he wants to come to the television show. Well, do you say these nasty things about him?
Well, Mark Nichols has been, let's face it, Mark Nichols has been a big disappointment.
Right. This Mark Nichols is a former Birmingham Brother Rice standout who is now playing defensive tackle for Michigan State, second team All-Big Ten, and the Spartans think that he's going to go high in the NFL draft, coming off a very good season. We'll talk with him about what happened this year at Michigan State. Of course, we all know what happened. Dave Urema threw 3 or 4 of the biggest interceptions in Michigan State history, right, Ron?
For him, they wouldn't have been
Ron? You're right about that, too. All right, speaking of football, let's, with the Lions season mercifully concluded.
Oh, is it over?
Yes, it's been over for some time. Yeah, I was out there Sunday to see this. Just unbelievable.
So your stupidity, too.
Well, I feel an obligation to cover this team and this franchise.
You do?
It's just
Who cares?
It's just so depressing.
Who cares, Bob? Why should you be there?
35,000 people. You wonder how many of them care. Yeah. And at least Bill Ford has had the class not to knock the fans. He's saying, I wouldn't come either. I don't blame him for not coming. But it's just a joke, as always, what's happened out there.
And yet, it's his fault that's in the mess that it's in.
It is. And yet, I hate to say this, but I actually think that there was some progress made this year, despite the fact that they were 5-11.
I'll tell you something. When you look at the skilled positions of this team, I think they have to go out and get a barn burner as far as the wide receiver is concerned.
That, right?
But Chadwick had a good year till he was injured, just missed that 1,000-yard thing. I think Gary James is going to be a fine NFL runner. And James Jones is a quality fullback, one of the best, if not the best in the NFL. I think the quarterback situation is taken care of for Chuck Long, even though he had a bad one in the finale. Defensively, they still got some guys that can play. They need some help in that area. But overall, even though the team did not finish with a good 1-loss record, I'll have a better feeling going into next year than I did going into this year.
Darryl Rogers better have a better feeling, too, because, you know, everybody always asks me, well, shouldn't they fire Darryl? And I hear some of the guys on your radio show say that, too. The answer is no, they shouldn't fire Darryl Rogers. He's only had 2 years. I think he made some mistakes this year, Ron. I think Darryl Rogers was part of the problem this year. I think he came out with that much too conservative game plan, the ball control. I think that hurt the Lions. I think he was much too stubborn in a lot of respects, but I think Darryl learned from it. I think Darryl deserves to come back, and I think he will come back. But he better win next season.
When you say win next year, I think that the Lions can finish close to 500 next season.
If Darryl Rogers, in other words, 7-9, if he goes, that's close to 500.
Well, that's if
he goes 7-9, he's fired. Darryl Rogers will be fired after next season if he goes 7-9.
I disagree. I don't think he should be fired for going 7-9.
Ron, I'm not saying whether I think he should be fired for going 7-9. I'm telling you that he's going to be fired.
No. What I'm saying is I don't think he'll be fired because it's 7-9.
Right. I think that if you look at the players they've added this year, you mentioned Gary James, Chuck Long, Devon Mitchell. These are solid draft choices. And another draft choice, the kid was hurt all season long, but they still think he could be a player, is this 300-pound offensive tackle from, was it North Carolina State, Malinchek?
Oh, yeah.
They picked up Jimmy Giles, one of the outstanding tight ends in pro football.
If he lose a little weight, he'd be all right.
They picked up Harvey Salem, a very solid blocker on the offensive line. And I think this kid, Jim Arnold, they added, is the best Lion punter that I've seen in a long, long time.
And let's not forget the guy who didn't want to come on the radio show because he didn't want to talk about the team.
Dwayne Galloway.
Dwayne Galloway.
I don't know about that. You know, now, I like Dwayne and I like Bruce McNorton, but I think that both those guys are below average NFL cornerbacks, and they're going to have to be replaced.
I don't know about. I think they can play in the league.
Maybe as backups, but if you start with them, I think you're in trouble. But the Lions, I mean, you look
Menard had a good year.
a couple years ago. You look at Keith Thorney, you look at Lomas Brown, the whole offensive line, not bad. Chadwick got a pretty good wide receiver. Vernon Maxwell had a good year.
Vernon Maxwell had a very good year.
Keith Ferguson had an excellent year, but they need another pass rusher, and I don't think, as much as I love the guy personally,
Bill Gay had a terrible year.
is just not the answer.
Year.
I think he's through with football.
Well, you know, Bill Gay is still. I still think as an athlete he can bounce back. It seems like every other year he had well, this is the second straight bad year, but 3 years ago I thought he was unbelievable. I thought he had a great year. Or was it 2 years? Whatever. These years go together, but it seems like it just goes in cycles with him. He's very inconsistent.
Yeah, I think, well, Mike O'Hara of the Detroit News was talking about it the other day, and he said the game has clearly passed him by. And I think that maybe
passed him by.
I think so too. I think he's too old now, and I don't think he has the quickness. I don't think he's in the shape maybe that he needs to be. Just looking at him in the locker room afterwards.
Where's Ulysses Norris when you really need him?
Yeah, there's another one, huh? I was a little disappointed in the year that Eddie Murray had. At times he showed flashes of the same old brilliance. He's just too erratic. Just too erratic.
Oh.
Now I'm not saying that you should get rid of Eddie Murray. Ron, you don't go to the games. Did you see him?
I do go to the games.
Did you see him miss the extra point? How many times have we seen that?
Just check the record out, and you check for. If you check in the last dozen years, you show me a better kicker in football than Eddie Murray.
Nick Lowry of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Check the record.
Okay, I'd be happy to.
Check the record.
I
go back and check the record.
I think Eddie Murray certainly will be back, and I'm not suggesting the Lions should get rid of him.
A bad ball club for many years. That's still no excuse.
I think Eddie Murray would be unhappy. Would tell you that he's unhappy with the season he's had, and I think the Lions will bring in a kicker next year to camp to push him a little bit to see what happens.
You're not going to. Why do it? Because it's not going to do any good. He's one of the best, if not the best, in the last 10 years in the NFL.
Why has he been so erratic?
I don't think he's been that erratic. When he misses, they make a big thing out of it, and they expect him to kick from everywhere. They expect everything to go through the uprights.
They expect extra points and chip shot field goals.
Well, he missed an extra point. He did blow that one, but that's still one of those things.
So what I'm saying
that's
again,
not their problem at all.
Yeah, what I'm
another
saying
kicker,
is
they wouldn't want another game this year.
I do think some progress has been made, but I mean these guys with the rose-colored glasses on, like James Jones, actually saying with a few more bounces they could have been 11-5 instead of 5-11.
One thing about the Lions, though, they did lose some very tough games, but it's still a bad team. However, I can see some youngsters that can really be real forces in this league in a few years.
I still don't think they'll ever win until Ford and Thomas sell the team.
Maybe.
But that's not going to happen.
They fired you. It didn't help. You did it.
Yeah, they tried to get me fired years ago. Yeah, probably did. Yeah, that's fine. But I'm still here, and still, yes, Russ, still sitting in this seat, and still a thorn in your side, pal. Anyway,
you want to talk about right at you.
you want to talk about the Pistons now too.
I'll tell you something. The Pistons. We just touched on it the last show, but Dennis Rodman has really come along. Not only added, what he adds to this team is some youth coming off the bench along with John Sally. Both of them are good shot blockers. And I think one reason the Pistons have done well is the defense. And the defense has been triggered by these young men. If you look at the differential in points in quarters 2 and 4 as opposed to 1 and 3, they're giving up a lot fewer points when the reserves come in for the most part. And I think that's because of the quickness. Even though they're running more, they're giving up fewer points because now, and I talked about this for many years, when you get the other team that can get so many easy layups, now those layups are knocked right down in their face by a Dennis Rodman, even though he's small. He's got some great athletic ability. And a John Sally. They block shots, and as a result, they're making things happen on the bench. I tell you something, the guy that I was hoping the Pistons would get rid of has come along and had a real fine year coming off the bench, and that is Rick Mahorn. He's lost a little weight. He seemed to have his attitude together now, and he's played a lot better. I still don't think he's a good ball player, but he's playing well.
As a lot of people are seeing this show, I'm out on the West Coast covering Michigan in the Rose Bowl, and Ron, I know it's time for me to take a vacation and get away from you. When I find myself agreeing with something that you say, agreeing with an assessment of yours, I know that I need help. So if I can't get to the bar, at least I'm going to introduce Mark Nichols, the Michigan State defensive tackle.
We'll go over that next year.
We already talked about that. Who's going to win the Rose Bowl? I picked Michigan big over Arizona State.
Michigan come up big?
Yeah, as Sid would say, by 2 touchdowns.
I think it's going to be a closer game than that.
All right, Mark Nichols, Michigan State defensive tackle, is here, who, by the way, has played against both Arizona State and Michigan this year. One of the things we'll be talking about with him when we continue.
What if he doesn't want to talk about it?
Right after this.
It's the event of the year at Al Dietrich Oldsmobile, the end of the year sale. Uncle Al must sell 100 cars to break the dealership's all-time sales record. So 40 brand new 1986 Oldsmobiles and 86 factory officials cars have been brought in, and prices absolutely slashed. Would you believe as much as $6,000 off sticker price? Hurry, at prices like this, they won't last long.
This is Uncle Al, inviting you to come out and see me personally at 1177 Oakland in Pontiac, where Telegraph ends, the deals begin.
Nothing to do weeknights? There's always something happening at the Plymouth Rock Saloon. Tuesdays, for instance, it's lingerie night, featuring some of southeastern Michigan's most beautiful girls. Your favorite top 40 and oldies music all the time. Great food, and there's never any cover charge. The Plymouth Rock, just off I-275 at Joy Road near Haggerty. And don't forget Pete Eleuterio's other place, the hot new Tangerine Room, Rivertown, just east of the Rensen.
I'll meet you at the Plymouth Rock Saloon.
Sorry, she's out of the office for the day and there's no way to contact her.
With a pager from TCOM, you could contact her anytime.
I know it's an emergency, but it's out of the building now. May I call you later?
With Motorola pagers from TCOM, you can deal with emergencies now.
Sorry, our delivery man is on call right now. We won't be able to help you till tomorrow.
Hi, my name is Fred Wetzel with TCOM Paging. If these problems seem familiar to you, then you need a TCOM pager. You'd be surprised how affordable they are. You probably wonder how you've done without one. Give us a call at 559-6826.
We're back with Mark Nichols, not Mark Nichols of the Lions, Mark Nichols of the Michigan State Spartans, who might not be as big a stiff as Mark Nichols of the Lions. At least,
well, let's hope not.
Hopefully, right? he'll get drafted. He was a number one. Of course, you wouldn't mind being in the position as your comment about. And I don't think you're related to him, are you?
No, not really.
I didn't think so.
I wouldn't mind being in his position.
I was going to say not right now, but is coming out as a number one draft choice, even though he's died since then. You look at that Mark Nichols, and is that your goal, number one draft pick in the NFL?
Oh, that's any kid's dream.
You think you have the ability to be a number one draft
number one pick?
No, not
number one. First
a
round?
number one draft choice.
Oh, you know, I would think I have enough confidence in myself. It's just whether or not a pro team would see that they have the ability or not.
You're 6'2", 250 now.
Right.
Yeah, and you're bench pressing 500 pounds.
Right.
What's the question? Your speed?
I don't know. I think the biggest question of all would be, if I were a pro scout, would be my height. 6'2", you know, most D linemen are probably taller than that in the NFL, although I'm not really positive. I really couldn't tell you.
Is it a help to play for guys like George Perlis, who of course was the defensive coordinator with the Steelers, and your defensive line coach, who was Steve Furness, right?
Right. Sure it does. You know, Coach Furness has played with the best.
Sure.
He was one of the best.
Was a defensive lineman with the Steelers,
right? Coach Perlis got a great mind for defense, especially. He's a great man, and you really get tremendous technique. And I think coming out of Michigan State, I'll have better technique than most college players just because I've played for two of the best.
All right, let's take a look at your technique. We got some highlights of Mark Nichols from the 1985 season, destroying opposing quarterbacks. And it was actually a better year for you in 85 than 86, right? Stats-wise?
No, you know, it really wasn't.
Not really?
This year, I think I played a lot better, a lot tougher than in 85. But, you know, it's just a lot of it's the position, you know. Inside there, you get so many guys, it's tough to get.
Right. Now, my understanding is that this year they double-teamed you all season, and that allowed John Buddy to make most of the plays and get a lot of the spotlight.
Well, sure, but John, you know, John's a great player and a great athlete, and he's going to be a great player coming up.
It always looks like you're double-teamed when this guy's had a few too many martinis. It looks like there's two guys on your rear.
Now, Mark, I know there are no shows like this in Lansing, but you can reach over and pop this beached whale whenever you want, okay? No problem. What's your greatest strength now as we watch you again in action here sacking quarterbacks?
I think my best part is my quickness, and when I'm inside, I'm better against the run. And when I'm outside, when I'm one-on-one with the tackle, I'm a lot better against the pass.
There you are, scoring your only collegiate touchdown.
Yeah.
Looked pretty quick right there against Indiana a couple years ago.
That's for, you know, we were talking about speed and all that, about what you run, the 100-yard dash and things like that.
No, the don't time it in 100. That was back in the 30s when you broke in covering pro football.
When you were a track star, huh? But what I'm trying to say there is, the fact is, the most important thing, though, is that first step. You could be the fastest guy in the world, but if you can't get going, you're not going anywhere. It's as simple as that. Sure. And that's where you feel that your strength lies, huh?
Right.
In that first step.
Do you pat on yourself after anybody in the pros? Any heroes among defensive linemen?
No, not really. You know, I watch a lot. Like I watch Randy White a lot when he plays, and I watch Howie Long, and just to see different techniques and things they do, maybe I can learn from. But I really don't pattern myself after anybody.
Let's talk about the Spartans. And
we'll do that right after we take a commercial break, because that's a whole new can of worms when we get into our usual debate about Dave Urema, and Rick Leach.
There's your Rick Leach. He thinks that Leach is a better quarterback than Urema.
You could even look it up, couldn't you? Record-wise.
Look it up?
You could even look it up.
You can look up a lot of records, but when it comes to throwing,
all right, anyway,
number one.
I know Mark's going to defend Dave Urema, and I like Dave too. He's a nice young man. But as I've told you before, Ron,
to the commercial.
Dave Urema will play as much in the National Football League as Ricky Leach
Put
did.
some more money on it, like you did Sports Fans Journal.
We'll be back with Mark Nichols,
right on the air too.
Michigan State defensive tackle, in a minute.
Since 1920, Washington Clothing has been one of our town's most respected names. Why? Because we sell quality clothing at a reasonable price. Simple as that. Over 1,200 suits in inventory, one of the largest selections anywhere. From Hart Schafter and Marks to the Italian designers like Ola Cassini. Shirts, ties, and a full line of shoes. Even formal wear, Washington Clothing is your only complete men's store. Meticulous tailoring by Floyd and a friendly atmosphere. Washington Clothing has two locations, one in Farmington off I-275 at Grand River and the General Motors building in the main lobby.
Since 1973, Mazzola's has been well known downriver for the best subs and pizza in the metro area. Hi, I'm Len Mazzola, inviting you and your family to join me and my family in our newest location in Garden City, on Ford Road just east of Middlebelt. We have the same great subs, 43 varieties, pizza by the slice with dough made fresh daily from our own bakery, and a wide selection of salads. There's a drive-up window and carry-out service, or eat in our spacious dining rooms. Remember, downriver or anywhere on the west side, Mazzola's is the sub that's often imitated but never duplicated.
If you're a sports fan, then Sports Fans Journal is for you. If you're looking for stats and box scores, go elsewhere. If you're looking for good, hard-hitting sports from people that know what they're talking about, you should subscribe to Sports Fans Journal and read Denny McClain right out of jail. He writes a column each month, as is Ernie Harwell, Ray Lane, Jim Northrop, Len Barney, and a whole bunch more for you. Locally, Al Ackerman. And nationally, we got Denny in jail. We've got Larry King, Mike Downey, Eli Zarrett, Bob Feller, real sports personalities. Bob Feller, George Allen, Don Cherry, Dick Vitale, Jay Mariotti, and a whole lot more for you. All you have to do is subscribe. This is each month. All you have to do is subscribe and send a $15 check or money order payable to Sports Fans Journal and send to Sports Fans Journal, P.O. Box 12170. Birmingham, Michigan 48012, or pick up Sports Fans Journal at your local newsstand. And this issue that'll be dated February, that'll be out for the whole month of January, is going to be a real dandy. We got a real story in there you won't want to miss.
One more columnist and you get my $15. The hell with Denny McClain from jail. As soon as you sign Pedro Ramos from jail.
Then, no. The big right-hander?
They locked him away on that cocaine charge so deep in the Caribbean jail he'll never be heard from again. We're back on Sports View today with Mark Nichols, Michigan State standout defensive lineman. And let's have it right up front. What happened?
I think we lost a couple close games, and if we would have pulled them out, we'd have had a whole different season.
How could you lose to Northwestern?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Northwestern's not that bad.
Right? Number one.
Let him answer that. I asked him, not you.
I'm putting my 2 cents.
He doesn't need you to apologize for him. Go ahead.
I mean, you should have beat them, but they're not that bad of a team.
Northwestern is the best Northwestern team they've had in a while. Not to make excuses, we played
Which isn't saying a whole lot.
That's right. We played poorly, and, you know, that stuff happens. In the Big Ten on any given day.
Doesn't happen to Michigan. How come it happens to Michigan State?
It doesn't happen to Michigan. Ask Minnesota if it happened to Michigan.
Well, where's Michigan now? Playing in the Rose Bowl.
Well, you just said it didn't happen to Michigan State. Or Michigan, it sure did. Minnesota beat them in Ann Arbor.
What I'm saying is that Michigan still finds a way to put together a winning season and get to quality bowl games every year. The difference in the program, Mark, I still think is great between Michigan and Michigan State.
I know.
Well, you know, that's your opinion, and
you can pop him anytime. Too.
Hey, this is coming from a Michigan State grad.
Yeah,
remember.
A drunk for Michigan State that has had everything against Michigan State.
He thinks all of us up there drinking party at Michigan State. That's all we do.
Not all of you, most of you.
All right, go ahead. The difference in programs.
I think the biggest difference in programs is Michigan's had a more recent winning tradition, and we're trying to regain a winning tradition, which is we're gonna take our lumps, but we're gonna come out in the end. You watch next year and the year after with Coach Perlis.
What's gonna happen next year without Dave Urema leading the way?
Well, you know, I really couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
That's a big one. There's big shoes to fill. Bobby McAllister, I think he's gonna surprise some people. I think it's going to change our offensive style a little bit.
He surprised Bob Page last year. He thought he was another creation of Christ, and when he fell flat on his face of the year.
I was told by the coaching staff
that
Bobby
told
McAllister was going to be great.
You can lead Bob Page. You can walk. You can lead him anywhere.
I think McAllister might do real well. I really think he will. I think it might change our offense a little bit more. We might run an option.
He's quicker than Urema, no question about that.
Very quick feet, and he can throw the ball. I think the problem when he was in there is, he always knew when Urema was coming back in, he was going to be out, so he didn't really gain the confidence that he should have had.
You played for one of the great high school coaches in Michigan, Al Fracassa, Brother Rice, and I know you're still close to a lot of the high school athletes in the area. In light of what happened this past season, what are you hearing from the recruits?
I don't know. Coach Fracassa is a great coach, and Brother Rice has got a great program. And I really don't hear too much from the recruits coming in now.
No, I mean, the kids aren't saying, well, you guys need help, so I'm coming, or, well, this program's going nowhere, so I'm going to Michigan.
No, the recruits that come in, they all realize that we're going to have a great program. And it's just going to take a couple years to get the tradition back, and I think it's going to start up next year. And I think the recruits coming in, they realize that, and they talk to Coach Perlis, and they talk to Furness, and they talk to the guys, and they realize they're class people, and it's going to be a class organization.
Lynn Henning, writing in the Detroit News this past year, said that Dave Urema's interception at that critical moment of the Iowa game at the end was the single most, this is a quote, single most disastrous play in Michigan State football in the last 10 years. True?
Well, it was a big play, and but I think, the people don't see a lot of things. That play, if he'd have scored a touchdown, no one saw that our tight end got pulled down by the face mask, and he would have been wide open. See, there was one guy that got intercepted the pass. They were going to flood that zone, and our tight end should have been right out there. People don't see things like that, so they just assume that Dave made a crummy play, things like that. Yeah. When in reality, little things happen and people don't see them.
Dave can play in the NFL, can he?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
All right, I'll bet both of you then.
I'll bet you.
Well, you've already lost. You got a big enough payment each month to make. You better not get any more.
You could be playing for any major college team in the country. Did Michigan recruit you? If so, why did you choose Michigan State, and do you regret your decision?
Yes, they did recruit me, and no, I don't regret my decision. I felt at home at Michigan State. I liked the campus better. I got a better feeling from Coach Perlis.
Party atmosphere, you like that up there too?
Oh, Michigan parties, pretty much.
Yeah, not as much as could be people like him. Okay.
Well, Mark, is George Perlis going to be under any heat next year? I mean, he can't go 6-5 again.
I don't think he will. And I don't think our team was a typical 6-5 team this year. I think we were a better team than 6-5, and not to make excuses, that's just the way it came out. But I think next year, we won't be a 6-5 team going to a miracle great record next year. I think we had a good team this year, and I think we're going to be better next year.
When you lost the Iowa game, did something go out of you guys emotionally?
I think it did some guys, personally.
Did it for you?
No. I mean, I realized when we lost that one, I realized, hey, we have a great team. We got a shot at it. Even though we lost, we can still put it together. It was, it was a tough loss and everything, but...
didn't mean to change streams here, but I'm gonna, we hear all this talk, Brother Rice recruits, and when you went to high school, how'd you go to Brother Rice, number one? And I've talked to most of the stars of Brother Rice over the years, and nobody recruited them. They just wanted to go there.
No, nobody recruited me. In fact, I didn't even know anything about Brother Rice. All my friends were going. I would have went to Bloomfield Hills Lasser, and all my friends were going to Brother Rice, and I still didn't want to go. I went to a public school in junior high, and my parents wanted me to go there. And I was like, no. In fact, I didn't even see Brother Rice's school ever until I went there for orientation.
Are you Catholic?
No, Protestant.
Why would you go to Birmingham Brother Rice?
My parents thought I would get a better education. They thought it'd be more structured. And, then, of course, they had a great football team. They had I wrestled a lot. They just had a new wrestling team. And I wanted to go there. I chose them. I didn't speak to anyone until I went there.
Yeah, but you can see why some people say the things they do about Brother Rice.
Sure,
when you look at a young man like this who's not even Catholic and he goes there.
Yeah, well, you can see a lot of jealousy from other schools into Brother Rice.
But you look at Ron Thompson at St. Martin de Porres. He says, do I recruit? Sure, I recruit. There's nothing illegal about recruiting. I don't know why Al Fracassa's always been
Because he really does, and I've talked to the guy.
Yeah, but I believe that he doesn't recruit. Well, I'm saying is there's no shame if he did.
No,
so I don't know why everybody's always saying, oh, they don't recruit, they don't recruit. But anyway, that was a great experience for you, wasn't it, playing for Fracassa?
Yeah. And what did that do for you as far as, if you hadn't gone to Brother Rice, would you be in the position you're in today?
That's a good question. I really don't know. Coach Fracassa taught me a lot. He taught me how to play football. And I don't know if another coach could have done that.
Well, taking it a step further, when you were going to Brother Rice, or as you were about to make the decision, were you looking down the road as far as playing college football at that time?
I didn't even think about it. You know, I just thought about going playing in high school and having a good time, and you know, that type of thing didn't really cross my mind too much.
I want to ask you about Michigan versus Arizona State in the Rose Bowl. You played against both teams. You lost to both teams this year. Who was a better ball club? Who impressed you more?
Well, it's going to sound funny since Michigan killed us, and we really played Arizona tough, but I think Arizona State's going to beat them.
Oh.
I really do.
Why?
Arizona State has a very good offensive line, the best I played against all year. They have a great quarterback. They have a very quick defense, very good defense, and I just think they're going to.
And that gives Michigan some problems with quickness there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What about Jimmy Harbaugh? You don't think that he's going to be able to overcome Arizona State's defense?
He's a great quarterback, but I think it's going to be a close game. But if I were to bet, I'd put my money on Arizona State.
Very interesting. We'll close it out with Mark Nichols, Michigan State's defensive lineman, right after this.
Did you know that 125 million Americans didn't visit a dentist last year? Why? Not money. According to surveys, they're afraid.
Well, modern technology has taken the fear out of visiting the dentist. Here at my office in West Bloomfield, we've got a relaxed, friendly atmosphere. I provide the highest quality care with an emphasis on the prevention of tooth and gum disease.
So if you're one of the many people not seeing a dentist, you're taking a serious risk with your future health. Like smoking cigarettes, it's a ticking time bomb.
Where's the hottest dance music in town? The brand new Tangerine Room in the heart of Detroit's exciting Rivertown district. The Tangerine Room, where every night is ladies' night and Thursdays are extra special. The Tangerine Room, featuring Detroit's best-known disc jockeys, Hump the Grinder and Chris Crash. The Tangerine Room, where if the dance floor is too hot, you can cool off in an intimate upstairs bar or a spacious veranda. Great food from Chef Alexander, drink specials, and the kind of people you'd like to meet. All at the beautiful new Tangerine Room, Franklin and Riopelle, just east of the Renaissance Center. Why are so many Detroiters saying meet me at Maxie's? First, the casual elegance of Maxie's Main Street lends itself to family gatherings or meeting new friends. Maxie's has great food at reasonable prices with seafood flown in fresh from New Bedford, Massachusetts. Happy hour 5 to 7 daily with drink specials and free New England-style pizza in the bar. Autumn brings Monday night football parties on Maxie's beautiful widescreen TV. And Maxie's is easy to reach from anywhere in Metro Detroit on Main Street, 2 blocks south of 11 Mile in Royal Oak.
Maxie's Main Street, the place to be in the northern suburbs.
We're back on Sports View with a guy that's not from the Lions, Mark Nichols of Michigan State, and the football star. That right now, the way you look at your development thus far in your career and with the NFL draft coming up, even though you do have another year left, I don't know if we told the people that, but we will tell them you have another year left. Where do you think you can go in the NFL draft?
I guess that remains to be seen on my year next year. I would like to go in the upper rounds.
You think you can go in the first round?
I think I can.
What's the most improvement you're going to have to do, and what phase of your game to be an NFL star?
I think what I'm going to have to do is play a little bit on the outside a little bit more during pass situations so I can get my stats up there. In a passing situation, when I'm left one-on-one with the opposing tackle, I seem to do better in passing situations because it's one-on-one.
Good luck next year. I think you're going to have a pretty good year next year. I think the Spartans will, even despite the quarterback situation.
Double teaming you. You don't want to play with the Lions, do you?
I play anywhere it takes me.
All right, now, unfortunately, you won't be playing your senior season at Michigan State because those are some of the people you just saw provide gift certificates to Sports View today, and we'll give the young man gift certificates and make him ineligible by NCAA rules if you go out and use them. We had problems with that in the past. But we do want to thank those people.
We've not had any problems with that in the past.
When your reading was on 2 years ago, the Michigan State people wouldn't let them take the gift certificates.
That's not the problem. They didn't think it was right to take them. Now we've decided we found out else.
Now I have to find the sponsors. Yes, I'm searching.
Come on, get with it. Would you? You want me to mention them for you? The sponsors?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sports Fans Journal. If you want to subscribe.
Yeah, I figured you'd mention that.
Just send a $50 check or money order to Sports Fans Journal, P.O. Box 12170, Birmingham.
There are other sponsors.
48012. Right. Go on with them.
Thank you. T-Com Pagers, Mazzolas. We also had the Tangerine Room and the Plymouth Rock Saloon, Peter Lefterio's places. And, of course, we had Uncle Al who sends along this T-shirt, the Ron Cameron Food Splotch Memorial T-shirt for all of our guests, which comes in sizes extra, extra, extra large, the only one that'll fit Ron. You can hear Ron Cameron on the radio if you're so disposed. In fact, you're going to be on the radio show.
You'll be on Wednesday.
Well, probably, yeah, people will be seeing this
So
after
forget
that.
it. Just go on with something else.
WCAR AM 1090, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 4 to 5 in the afternoon. And my radio show, Sports with Bob Page, runs on Mark Nichols' favorite radio station.
You know what says these people's favorite radio
It
station?
is.
If there's
You don't believe me?
Then what do they just make the change for in the morning?
This your favorite radio station or not?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Just anything that pleases him, yeah. Then what do they make the change at? The ratings are so good.
101.1.
You still there?
I'm still there, of course.
Okay, go ahead.
Right.